guys, welcome to another episode of PB Garage. In today's episode, I'm looking to address something that's very common in the B5, A4, and S4 chassis. It's the rear diff mount. If anybody's replaced this with an aftermarket unit, you'll know that the poly that replaces the rubber transmits a lot of noise, vibration, and harshness into the cabin, but they do reduce the slop that the diff mount has. So this one you can see it's a stock one with rubber bushing. There's a big gap between the part of the mount that bolts to the diff and the part of the mount that bolts to the chassis. This gap is right here, what I'm talking about. And when you get on and off the gas, this part of the mount moves back and forth and it slaps this part, which transmits a big thud into your cabin. I like this mount because when you're cruising around, you don't feel that noise and vibration in the cabin. But it's frustrating because when I'm on and off the gas, I get that clunk. I don't want to replace it with a poly. I've done that before and I feel the vibrations and the noise in the cabin. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and take up the gap here using a 1/4 inch rubber sheet. I know it sounds crazy, but bear with me. I've drawn up a template. I'm gonna trace this out on the sheet. I'm gonna cut it out and I'm gonna slide it between here. I'm gonna tack glue it in certain spots just to hold it in place and see if I still have that noise and vibration isolation, but reduced amount of slaps. I bought this piece of 1/4 inch thick rubber off Amazon. It was about $15 or $20. The diameter is 50A. Just using a pin to transfer my hole centers here. So I'm gonna drill 4 holes in the corner and then cut out between those. I'm drilling these holes in the corner here because if you look at the mount, there's these round kind of pillars, and I'm just trying to go around those and keep it tight to the inside of the bushing. With the holes in place, they didn't drill like fully 1/4 inch, they're a bit less than that. The rubber is very flexible, but I'm just gonna use the centers of the holes to cut between, then we'll do the profile. All right, with the center cut out, I'm just gonna do the outside. This is really rough because there's tons of room. I'm editing the video now and I realized I missed a step. I didn't record the last step. What you want to do is cut a slit in the corner of the rubber, and that allows you to spread it and slide it underneath that flange of the diff mount. Then we'll glue this together once it's installed. Just going to use some 1-minute epoxy. I'm also putting some epoxy between that slit I just cut to kind of lock this in place. Okay, so I've let the glue dry overnight. I've also trimmed away some of the edges so it doesn't overhang as much, just to make it look a little nicer. You can see how the gap's been taken up. On the back side of this mount, you can see there's these nubs that stick out. They have the same nubs on the other side. So those are still there. I haven't cut those off. And the bigger ones, so these ones here that are on the other side, are just contacting my rubber spacer. So what I'm hoping to achieve with this is some vibration isolation driving around from the drivetrain. It still has a bit of room to move, but when you get on and off the gas, the gap has been appreciably reduced, and I'm hoping that that slap has been drastically removed. Also, it's rubber, so any impact will be softened by the fact that this is a 50 diameter rubber instead of something a bit harder. So while I was working on that other mount, the mount that I was just showing you, I had a poly mount in. I had taken a stock mount and filled in all the voids with polyurethane, and it was very I'd run that mount a long time ago when I'd taken it out because of the vibration. So putting it back in, it reminded me of all that, and on and off the gas you can not feel the slap, but the drivetrain vibration from the transmission going around corners with my 4-to-1 shim mod and the center diff, you really felt that in the cabin. So with the new mount with the rubber spacer, all that's gone. Like, it feels like an OEM car again, which is really nice. On and off the gas in 3rd gear, I don't feel any clunk at all that I was feeling with the stock mount. I feel like it's made a really nice improvement on the drivability of the car. It makes it easier to shift smooth, and I don't have that drivetrain vibration coming through the cabin. Driving the car a bit harder here, and between gears when you're shifting hard, feels really good. Like, I really like this mount. It used to clump real hard between gears when I was shifting hard. Now that's like pretty much gone. Feels really good. In terms of durability, I'm not sure how well it's gonna hold up. I'll keep an eye on it. But if I gotta cut another one, I've got probably about 7 or 8 spacers in that 12 by 12 sheet of rubber that I bought. So I would say if you're chasing a clunk in your driveline, have a look at your mount. If it's stock and it hasn't been replaced in a while, they're no longer available. I had found one new old stock on eBay a few years ago, so it was pretty fresh, but with stage 3 power, you're still gonna feel that slap. So try putting a spacer in. Get some 1/4 inch thick rubber off Amazon. It's dirt cheap. My hardness is I think 50A. I'm sure anything else will work because I think 70 and 80 is pretty commonly available as well. Cut it out, just use the template that I provided. It'll fit really well. Glue it in place, and hopefully it cures the clunk for you guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.